share with you a story about David, the king in the Bible. So I just want to share his traits as a king, his character, how he became a great king according to the history and according to the Bible. As we know, Jesus is not just a public figure, not just a myth, but it is a reality which was written even in the Bible. If we could, if you could remember, we have the timeline like after the death of Christ AD, and then BC before Christ's existence. So that's only a fact that he is real and he existed once. So now David is also, it only follows that David also existed long time ago before he existed, because the root of Jesse, which is the father of David, is a direct descendant of Jesus Christ, or Jesus is the direct descendant of David is the predecessor, king predecessor of King Jesus. So now let me talk about his faith first. So he became a king because of his faith. Now let's talk about faith. Faith has a lot of facets. So different phases. It has different phases. So we have faith in love, faith in trust, trusting people, faith in everything, in faith in the law of the universe, and so many things. So now David has a faith in his God. He is called as a man after God's own heart. Now, what is with his God according to his understanding? He said in the Bible that his God is big, although he is small. If you could remember, he's very famous because he fought against Goliath, which is a giant. So he did not even use an armor against him. So he has this mindset that the smaller I am, the bigger I am, because I have a God who could back me up to defeat you. So that's the faith that he has. He trusts his God's power that much that made him able to defeat Goliath. So that's the faith he has to his God. That makes him a king, and that made God chose him as the king and the rightful heir of his kingship. He wants him to be a king because he is deeply rooted in the Christian faith. Now, what else? Faith, trust to the King Jesus, trust to his Father, the God, the Father, and then to the Holy Spirit, of course. So those are one of the few things: faith, trust, and then love. So David loves. How do we learn to truly love a person? So this, as we could reminisce, or as if we could remember, David is a shepherd, right? It's a very humble beginning. He loves his sheep. He tries to make sure that they are safe and sound from all the boars, the lions, and everything. So it is written that he gnashed, or destroyed the mouth of a lion just to protect the sheep. So that's how strong he was, due to his love towards his sheep, because it has to be protected because it's his livestock, or it is his livelihood. So that's his job. It's his job to protect them so he could continue living and earn money, right? So then that's strength from within, despite of he's he doesn't look good, he doesn't have that glamour in him, physically. But then when he became a king, he has that within him. He was just not that focused in his physical features, because it's not necessary then, right? So then strength, faith, trust, beauty from within due to his faith to his God. Next, fourth is stability of his heart due to his courage and faith in God, that it will be okay because everything will work together for good to those who love God. And he knows deep in his heart that he loves God because he knows God that deeply. So that's love, So he's very he knows how to play. If I'm not mistaken, it's a harp. Correct me if I'm wrong, but that's what I could remember. It's anyway. The most important thing is it's a musical instrument. He plays that. So when Saul was impeached or like removed or dethroned by God Himself because he did not listen and he did not obey his God sent prophet, he said that you're no longer a king, and that's when his salvation was undone, like completely. He's in hell. That's his word. So now, that's the price of not being a king. That's false humility. So he was so convinced, delusionized by his own demon, that it's just okay. But then there's a very important thing when you disobey God. It might sound crazy, but then there's something in it. That's David's conviction, I think. So then, disobedience. So another trait of David is obedience, extreme and complete obedience to God Himself. So that's the most important quality that he has with his thoughts. He aligned his thoughts, so he has this renewed mindset that made him able to go up into heaven. And I think that is the reason why Enoch, if you could remember, he's not really that famous, but if you would research, Enoch has this amazing kind of death. Why? Because he skipped a painful death. It was a painless kind of death. According to the Bible that I've read, that's Maxwell's book, Bible Stories for Kids. It's very good. I hope you could read that as well if you wanted to get to know the characters of this. Although you don't believe in the Bible, these are very interesting characters. So they have good moral lessons. So think of it like a Disney movie that you like. So it's like that to me. Anyway, so that's it. Enoch's death. So it was said that he was just walking around the forest talking to God, and then while he was strolling around the forest, he disappeared, and that's how he died. So it's a very painless kind of death. So imagine what kind of inner strength, inner beauty he has, that the Lord blessed him with that kind of death, that he couldn't afford a painful death for him. So he passed his standard to be able to have that. He became like an angel, that's an angel, like Angel Michael, Archangel Michael has that kind of power. So he could just jump up and down from heaven to earth, right? So now going back to David, so they have these common traits, but Enoch did not become a king. So let's talk and focus more on his kingship. Character, okay? Sorry, I just got twisted into another story though, because that's a very interesting fact. I mean, fact according to the Bible. Now, finally, obedience in our thoughts. So that's the most important thing that made David as the king. So the root of Jesse is the root of kingship, according to the Bible, if you would ask me. Yeah. So I believe that I also I'm hoping that in the future we have kings, right, and queens. I hope in London, in Thailand, they will have that kind of kings and queens. So people around the world will be able to unite and be as one in mind and body. So we won't be able to violate ourselves. As for the UN ambassadors, they might have, I hope they would have that kind of heart, King Jesus' heart. He's the diplomat of his own kingdom. So he is supposed to, or he usually tries to have an agreement, a covenant, a covenant, like a contract with those people around him to make peace. That's why he is the Prince of Peace. And although David was in a warfare, that's what he was trying to do. But then Solomon, his son, um, his successor, have made a lot of things to God as well. So you see, the root of his descendants are definitely kings and queens. So that's it for now. Thank you so much for listening to me. Though that is about the root of kingship and queenship and what makes a king according to the history and the Bible itself. So for the atheists, I hope you don't mind sharing me these thoughts. It's up to you to it's up to you what to believe in. Thank you so much for listening. So God bless you. Thank you and bye for now.